Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 191 based on novel. So let's start. Virtual universe, especially open space. How? Completely green dragon snaked through the space, ang. The beautiful 7-colored wings could be seen everywhere within this huge space. With a glance, one could spot tens of millions of different types of mystical beasts, some beautiful, some violent. Tens of millions of beasts flew about. A completely red majestic group of palaces floated in mid-air, within one of them. A tall and sturdy man with a single silver horn covered in purple armor fiercely slammed the wine glass in his hand. The translucent glass flew hard onto the floor and burst apart. The man's expression was struggled, his eyes like two eternal burning stars. He raged and roared, "How do they think that I'm a pushover? I've waited so long for the Demon Note Mountain inheritance, for my student Mist Emperor to get a chance, and you are telling me it's gone, Knight?" An old white-haired man bowed and said, "It's not that it's gone, but he'll have to wait for the next batch. Bullshit. The silver-horned man roared, "Each batch of the Demon Note Mountain inheritance is 10,081 eras apart. And every batch has at most 32 people. I spent so much treasure and invested so much. Finally I got picked and acquired a slot. But you are telling me there's an anonymous unknown life form that took one of the 32 palaces and you lack one slot. How is it my business there's one lacking? Why take away my student's chance? Why not take away others?" The silver-horned man was incomparably angry. "Knight?" The white-haired old man bowed. When the ballot was cast, Mist Emperor was the 32nd, right at the back, hence the people above decided, "Get out, get out." The silver-horned man violently waved. The white-haired old man bowed, not daring to speak anymore. He turned and left immediately. The silver-horned man's expression was struggled. For a knight like him, one of the great eternal beings of humanity, there was hardly anything that made him feel cheated, but this time, the Great Union, those bunch of punks, they took my gifts and favors, and now they all act all righteous, taking away my student's opportunity. The man was filled with hatred, however he was clear that since they made the decision, there was no use in him raging. "Just who is it? Who took my student's slot?" The man raged. "Demon Note inheritance. It was tens of millions of times more valuable than the chance to study in the Primal Chaos City, because the Primal Chaos tablets were after all for people to study and comprehend the laws. The Demon Note inheritance, however, was a solid, incredibly detailed training method. As long as one followed the training, his powers would grow by leaps and bounds. Wait till the next batch. 10,081 eras later?" The silver-horned man got angrier the more he thought about it. His disciple Mist Emperor was an emperor undying. To become a knight was extremely difficult. However, through the Demon Note inheritance, on a certain level of degree, it would greatly increase his chances of becoming a knight. Right now he didn't know who took his student's chance, making him wait over 100 million years. The pinnacle beings and their matters, Luo Feng definitely didn't know. He only knew he had to grab his opportunities and go train. Within the Inheritance Palace, Inheritance Staircase. Luo Feng had been standing on the first level for a day already. He closed his eyes and stood on the black stone stairs, in his mind his spirit energy constantly training the inheritance technique. This nameless powerful technique shall be temporarily called the Supreme Demon Note Manual. This Supreme Demon Note Manual, according to the information that Luo Feng received from the first flight, was mainly split into two parts. One was basics. Two was the Demon Note technique. Of which the basics portion's 99% was mostly making a solid foundation. Once that was done, the Demon Note technique would be easy to train. The basics here referred to spirit energy amplitude. For example, when Luo Feng controlled one flying blade, his strength in attacking with that blade could reach a certain number. And his limit was simultaneously controlling 78 blades, all 78 of them reaching max power. This made his amplitude 78. Back when Luo Feng was on Earth and he was still weak, he could simultaneously control about 10 or so blades at max power. Soul had the spirit energy amplitude. Body had the strength amplitude. The Undying Altar measured the strength amplitude. Normal strength amplitudes could reach 100, that would be perfectly controlling one's every bit of energy. When one reaches 100 in that aspect, that would be the normal limit. Same theory. The spirit energy amplitude, to be able to control 100 flying blades with every one of them reaching max power, that was the normal limit too. However, these are under normal circumstances. Like the golden horned beast and it using its body to attack, its normal strength amplitude could also reach 80 to 90. However, the moment it unleashes its ability strengthen, immediately it would jump several times, making the amplitude go over a 100. Like deities of the world, the body's strength would rise a few times too, reaching a few hundred. And the golden horned beast's right claw, the moment it triggered the blood river energy, its power would greatly increase. The body's strength could be risen multiple times. In theory, 100 was the limit, however that was the normal limit. Through special techniques, treasures, all these could raise that limit. And these additions were incredibly valuable in the universe. Natural ability strengthen affected the body and soul, basically everything. The golden horned beast's soul amplitude was currently 78, however once it used its natural ability, its power would rise a few times over. And this Supreme Demon Note Manual was something like deities of the world from its memories, and even more powerful. Once one had great progress in deities of the world, it would raise one's powers by 27 times. However, Supreme Demon Note Manual was much stronger. This was an extreme inheritance that aimed at breaking all limits. What a mysterious anomaly, even stronger than deities of the world, this is heavenly. Luo Feng opened his eyes and looked at the many levels of steps ahead of him. With a glance, they reached into space itself. He took a deep breath. With a step, he flew to the second flight. When he landed on the second flight, incredibly detailed technique immediately poured into his mind. Continue training. Day after day. Level after level. In this inheritance staircase that stretched to space, Luo Feng progressed. Actually, when he first began the process, he received information that once it started, it couldn't be stopped. He had to continuously proceed forward. The training itself was actually a torture of one's willpower and consciousness. The moment one was unable to withstand it, then, the inheritance would automatically end. In the vast universe, over 1 trillion years, hundreds of thousands of different life forms had all come to receive the inheritance. However, not a single one of them could finish the entire process. Who knows how long this thing will take? Opportunities like these don't come easy. I cannot miss it. Luo Feng was almost like a starving beggar eating a meal in a long time, madly immersed in his training. The more he trained, the more he felt his consciousness amplitude rise, quickly exceeding 100. This normal limit continued to rise further. It was heavenly. The more he trained, the more he understood that if this technique were to be exchanged for in the treasure trove of the virtual universe, it would be an exorbitant price. The treasure trove may not even have such a technique within. I only have this one chance to train. I'll train as much as I can, maybe I'll make great progress. No matter, if I don't give it a shot, how will I forgive myself? When Luo Feng was within the core of Demon Note Mountain receiving the inheritance, the assassins sent by official Po Yu from the 1000-star sect were troubled. 6 months later. Virtual universe, on an island specially for the 9-star warriors to stay. On that island, a group of palaces took up an extremely large space. It was the reputable headquarters of the 1000-star sect in the virtual universe. In a particular palace, God, 2 sector lords and 2 domain lords bowed respectfully. The shockingly beautiful Po Yu's long hair flowed, an absolute beauty. She sat in the throne, leaning on the back and looking below. You 4 haven't discovered the target. Yes, God. The 4 were nervous. The 4 were from the initial 6 sent, the other 2 had already died within Demon Note Mountain. Useless things. The absolute beauty snorted coldly. I'll give you another half a year of time. I hope you won't disappoint me. Yes. The 4 had cold sweat beading from their foreheads. Time passed and in an instant, they had already spent a year within Demon Note Mountain, and in that year, another domain lord of the group died. Because he was hit by demon notes, he unconsciously became a zombie. The final 3 survivors all left Demon Note Mountain. Congratulations, you 3 have survived for a year within Demon Note Mountain. You have the right to enter our virtual universe company. The troops stationed at Demon Note Mountain from the virtual universe company, the lowest status of the group, swiftly went to receive the 3 survivors. Ba Yang and the other 1000-star sect warriors glanced at each other, helpless. They came to Demon Note Mountain only on Po Yu's orders. In truth, the 3 of them had no wishes to join the virtual universe company and become a lackey for others. Bring the 3 of them here. A voice resounded in that staff's ears. Yes, official Po Yu. The staff immediately brought Ba Yang and the others to her shrine. Deep in the shrine in a hall, Po Yu lay in the throne, a jade green tail meandered about in the throne, her eyes gazing down below at the shifty trio. God. The 3 knelt down. Po Yu waved her hand and immediately forced the space ring off the domain lord's fingers, forcefully breaking the soul imprint and retrieving the E9 grade laser gun. God, the target is only a universe level 9, and we haven't discovered him in a year, and he hasn't come out. It's very likely he was killed by others within. Or he was hit by the demon note and turned into a zombie. The strongest of the lot, Sector Lord Level 9 Ba Yang spoke. Let's hope so. Po Yu nodded, her gaze sweeping past the three. Their eyes immediately became rigid. After which, Piu Tong, Piu Tong, Piu Tong, they fell on the floor, dead. However, you all know too much, you have to die. Po Yu said coldly, sending people to kill an important genius of the virtual universe company. The moment she was discovered, she, an official level undying, even if she wasn't killed, she would be locked in the space hell. A year. That punk should be 80 to 90% dead. Po Yu muttered softly, after which she smiled charmingly. The space around seemed to burst in colors suddenly. Po Yu was lazing about entirely on in the throne, her white jade-like fingers gently tapping on the armrest, her gaze fixed on the three bodies below her. The space slightly warped and a space ripple with the power of origin laws of an undying covered the three bodies. With several cracks, they immediately became dust. That punk, he should be dead, however, is only the interest. Po Yu muttered softly. Suddenly, hurried footsteps came from outside. Teacher, teacher? Worried shouts came from outside the palace. Come in. Po Yu gently frowned, speaking. The one leading that rushed in was one dressed in purple decorative armor, a handsome youth. His eyes were sunken in, pupils green, on his forehead there was an engraving. This handsome youth's expression was filled with pain and rage. He rushed in and knelt hard on the floor, shouting, Teacher, please save my hometown, Mo Cha planet, what's going on? Po Yu frowned. Your hometown Mo Cha planet is a powerful planet with quite a few undyings. Why do you need me to save it, teacher? Some of my clansmen unintentionally offended Mist Emperor's people, who'd expect the powerful Mist Emperor to come out personally and use his space techniques to place my entire planet, the entire planet, forced into his god country. The handsome youth was about to cry. Planet, the entire planet was forced into the god country? Even Po Yu was shocked. God country. That was the sole location of an undying. Sector lords had their internal world, undyings had their god countries. The moment their internal worlds collapsed, the sector lord would definitely die. The moment the god country collapsed, the weaker undyings would die. And some with techniques and treasures may survive, however their powers would be greatly reduced. To a point where they'd have no future. It could be said that the god country was half of the undying's life. The god country had many uses. The reason the undyings were powerful was because the god countries were powerful. In there, the undying's power would greatly rise, even though one could force an enemy into his god country, having his power rise much greater. It also however gives the enemy the chance to attack his god country. Hence, unless one had 100% guarantee, or was forced into a corner, very few would actually force an enemy into his god country. To force an entire planet in, your planet, in Mist Emperor's god country, will have a very tragic end. Po Yu sat high in the throne looking down on her disciple. If it were simply destroying, he could easily use one punch to destroy it. However, he actually took the effort to place your planet into his god country. Unless he tortures it enough, he won't be satisfied. Just what did your clansmen do to offend him? Po Yu frowned. A small matter. The handsome youth knelt there and shouted tragically. There's always been some friction before, however the underlings of Mist Emperor would usually handle these small things. Who'd expect him to personally make a move, forcing the entire planet into the god country? Teacher, please save my planet. The handsome youth shouted. I cannot do anything. Po Yu shook her head. Teacher. The handsome youth's eyes were filled with tears. Po Yu looked at her disciple kneeling below, saying softly, I'll try. After which she closed her eyes, sending a thread of her consciousness into the virtual universe network. She looked for a good friend to speak to Mist Emperor. After a while. Leave. Po Yu opened her eyes and said. Teacher? The handsome youth looked up at Po Yu in the throne, his expression filled with hope. It's your clansmen's fault they offended Mist Emperor when he's in the worst mood. Po Yu frowned and ordered, no one can save them. The handsome youth gripped his fist. Leave. Po Yu ordered coldly. Yes. The handsome youth didn't dare speak another word. He feared offending this cold teacher of his, thus he left respectfully. Only Po Yu was left in the huge palace. She frowned, muttering to herself, no wonder he's so angry. His powerful teacher actually got a slot in the Demon Note Mountain inheritance for him, and someone else actually took it. This wait will be another 10,081 eras before he gets another chance. If it were me, I'd be angry too. Only thing is, just who was it that took his slot? Within the God country. An endless ocean, within were fragments of ice, there floated dark green majestic palaces, in the center of them was a 1,000,000-kilometer tall dark green statue, Mist Emperor's statue. In the ocean over 100 million kilometer away from the palaces was a planet with a diameter of over 30,000 kilometers floating. From it flew out many silhouettes that knelt in mid-air, constantly begging. Mist Emperor. Spare us, Mist Emperor. Spare our Mo-Cha planet, Mist Emperor. We have wronged. We have wronged. A few Undyings and Sector Lords were kneeling in mid-air, their voices booming all about. At this time, within their home, Mo-Cha planet, there would occasionally be lightning flashes or flames about, sometimes snow and blizzards or even hail that dropped like countless blades shooting down. It was simply a nightmare. Mist Emperor. With dark green floating long hair, a square face, his eyes even madder than a space beast, he wore an exquisite long robe and stood in mid-air, coldly looking at the torture he was dishing out to Mo-Cha planet. Spare you? Wronged? He laughed suddenly. It's too late, too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. His voice echoed constantly through the ears of the Mo-Cha warriors. The Undyings and Sector Lords were all in extreme pain, regret and hatred. However, they couldn't do anything. Mist Emperor, as an Emperor-level Undying, was too powerful. The power his God country held was even more shocking. Just the God country pressure alone made the Undyings unable to resist 10,081 eras, over 100 million years. From my birth till now, this entire long period has only been 12,000 eras. To make me wait so long. The more he thought about it, the more he raged. He gripped his fists even tighter, causing the space to tremble so hard it felt like it was about to split apart. Just who is the bastard that took my slot? Who? Mist Emperor raged within, and that planet floating in mid-air had an even more tragic fate ahead. In the vast universe, within the virtual universe company-controlled absolute beginning region, Demon Mountain. Within one of the 32 inheritance palaces of Demon Note Mountain. Luo Feng was focused on receiving the inheritance. How would he know he'd taken Mist Emperor's slot? Even to the Emperor-level Undyings, 10,081 eras was a very long period of time. He had only lived for a total of 12,000 eras. It was akin to a 30-year-old preparing to get married. However, God ordered, don't rush, wait another 30 years, marry when you are 60. Who wouldn't be anxious? Who wouldn't be angry? Within the inheritance palace, black mist engulfed the area, the many layers of stairs extended upwards. In theory, a space like this with only a few tens of kilometers in length and width wasn't shocking. However, the distance Luo Feng saw far exceeded over 1,000 kilometers. This effect of having a world within a grain of sand didn't really shock Luo Feng. After all, something a Sector Lord was capable of, it wasn't strange the absolute being that left behind the inheritance palace couldn't do. Finished another part. Luo Feng opened his eyes, face filled with glee. He became a beam of light and headed to a higher level the moment he stepped on the flight of stairs. The deeper training methods once again poured in. Simultaneously a voice resounded within the space. Luo Feng turned to look. Mysterious words appeared in the space beside, similar to the style of words on the stone tablet before. Even though Luo Feng didn't recognize them, he instantly understood their meaning. Beginner? He was shocked. The summary of the words were, life form that have chosen to receive the inheritance, you've already received 1/10 of the first part of the Demon Note inheritance. The Demon Note general inheritance has a total of 3 parts. To be able to completely finish the first part will earn you the beginner title and receive the beginner reward. The end of the first part is in that distant temple, the beginner reward is right there. Work hard. Rumble, the stairs in which he stood on extended far away, and at this time it was still endless, level after level. Finally, far, far away, at the end of it, in that distant space, there was a temple of which was hard to see clearly with the naked eye. The end of the first part? Beginner reward? Luo Feng looked at the distant temple, thinking, I've only been receiving the inheritance for about a year, about 300 levels of it. And I've only completed 1/10 of the first part. Then this first part, wouldn't it have over 3,000 levels? The first part had over 3,000 levels. A total of 3 parts. If the 2 later parts were the same, there would be over 10k levels. To finish all the stairs and finish the inheritance, how long would that take? Luo Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Saying is one thing. However, in truth, over 1 trillion years since Demon Mountain existed, with hundreds of thousands receiving the inheritance, yet none had ever fully completed it. Thinking so much is useless, I'll first complete the first part and become a beginner, then I'll receive the reward in that temple. Luo Feng was anticipating, this inheritance palace sure is something, the prize definitely wouldn't be bad. Who knows what it is, treasure? Weapon? Armor? He didn't think anymore, continuing to immerse himself in training. 1 year's worth of work, even just a part of the inheritance alone made him feel that his power had risen greatly already. This inheritance was indeed a heavenly technique. If Luo Feng were to give it a price, it would truly be a priceless treasure. More than even the entire time-space scribbles. I really have to thank Mo Luo for that kick. Luo Feng exclaimed within. When he had first entered the inheritance palace, the Moshe clansman had entered his internal world, the core resided within his earth body. Within Luo Feng's internal core. His soul, which had already condensed into a crystal ball, was engulfed in mist floating about. This was Luo Feng's spirit energy, countless amounts of energy condensed into engravings, large amount of them were permeating the crystal ball. Almost like venom infecting it, causing the ball to have slight changes as it absorbed the engravings. Even though the changes were little, it was constant and kept changing. Not even for a moment. Luo Feng's earth body and golden horned beast controlled the spirit energy to train their souls. It takes time to be tempered into steel. A piece of metal requires being broken down time and again and molded over and over to become steel. At this time, Luo Feng's soul was going through this process. In training the Supreme Demon Note technique, his soul was constantly changing and evolving, almost like a piece of metal being molded into steel. Such was the process his soul was undergoing. Similar to deities of the world, that too was a change in the body too. Unleashing it would shrink the body, causing the muscle and bone density, scales etc. to raise at an extreme rate. 99% of the basics of the Supreme Demon Note technique was on changing the soul. Unleashing this would make one's soul control amplitude rise greatly. A normal sector lord soul, using maximum power on assassination weapons, normally would able to control up to 100 of them. A normal sector lord's body amplitude was at most 100 times. When Luo Feng stood on the 100th level of stairs, his spirit energy amplitude had already reached 100. This, under the normal circumstances, would be a sector lord's perfection. And now that he was over the 360th level, his spirit energy amplitude had already reached over 360. What did this mean? When he first arrived here, his amplitude was only 70 to 80, right now it was over 360. It had jumped 5 times. A simple comparison, when he first began he only had 1 gun. Now he had 5. His spirit energy usage speed was 5 times from before. It's akin to 5 against 1. Luo Feng looked at the stairs that extended forever, looking at the distant space and the shrine at the end of it, he couldn't help but get excited. Virtual universe, Yuxiong Mountain public region, within a quiet loft of a hotel. A golden armored True Yang Emperor lay on the sofa, his eyelids drooping, he gave off a powerful angry energy, filling up the entire room. Even the staff were all scared as they stood in the corner not daring to make a sound, they cleared their throats and held their breaths. Cackle, True Yang Emperor. A strange piercing cold laughter resounded within the room. 2 people walked up from the stairs. A skinny skeleton-like human with eyes like 2 balls of flames, his chin with a goat's beard, he donned a golden robe and held 2 golden round balls that he fiddled with. Behind him was a handsome youth, Mo Luo. Mo Luo, even though he was already old, because of his bloodline, he would still look like a youth. You've come, True Yang shot a glance. Cackle, True Yang Emperor, you are looking for my disciple this time. It means you need a favor from me. Before me, don't be ugly. The golden-robed skinny old man cackled, lying in the sofa beside and ordering, staff, leave us. Yes. The staff all obediently left, leaving only 3 in the room, True Yang, Mo Luo and Mo Luo's teacher. If it weren't for my disciple Luo Feng, I'd be too lazy to meet you, seeing you disgusts me. True Yang laughed coldly. Cackle, what an honor. The old man mocked. This old man was also a very powerful man within the Virtual Universe Company. He too had passed the 20th level of the Heavenly Bridge, close to becoming a knight. His name was Prison Emperor. The 2 had always been rivals, extremely talented. Of which True Yang was direct and straightforward, intrepid in reputation. Prison Emperor was more known for being evil and treacherous. As their characters clashed, True Yang did things openly while Prison Emperor was sinister. The 2 had always disliked each other. Prison Emperor had deemed True Yang as his rival, but True Yang had always despised him. However, even so, in terms of strength, the 2 were close. These 2 were both incredibly close to becoming knights. Amongst the emperors, they were amongst the pinnacle. They were strong in their own ways. Naturally, Tru Yang was able to use his strength to suppress his enemy, but it would be hard for him to actually kill him. Speak. Tru Yang glanced at Mo Luo behind Prison Emperor. You said your disciple Mo Luo went to Demon Mountain and even met my disciple Luo Feng. Tell me, when did they meet? Under what circumstance? Anxious? The strange old man looked at Tru Yang. Tru Yang snorted coldly. He was indeed anxious. This was because the Virtual Universe Company had informed him earlier that Luo Feng had been in Demon Note Mountain for over a year, but he hasn't answered or given any notice, and the impossible level missions were extremely dangerous. The moment they were hit by the powerful demon notes, they would unconsciously become zombies. Under normal circumstance, these geniuses would occasionally enter the Virtual Universe network. However, over this year, Luo Feng hadn't entered once. This made the Virtual Universe Company suspect. Was he dead? Naturally, they informed his teacher, who was closest to him, Tru Yang Emperor. Tru Yang knew that Luo Feng had gone to Demon Mountain. After receiving that notice from the company, he immediately sent a mail and call request to contact Luo Feng. However, there hadn't been a response. It was almost like Luo Feng was dead. Under such circumstances, there were two answers. 1. Luo Feng was dead. Naturally, he couldn't answer. 2. He was immersed in training and shut off all communication to not be distracted by anything. Anxious? The golden-robed old man mocked. Looks like your disciple has yet to reply to you. Actually, not having a response doesn't mean he's dead. He might be locked in training or something. Prison Emperor slapped his head. I must be old and senile. Your disciple is in Demon Note Mountain. In that place, there's demon notes everywhere. There's no place to stop and train at all, much less immerse himself in training. Since he cannot train, then, he should be dead. Tru Yang's expression grew heavy, his eyes shot golden light, roaring, Prison Emperor, I wish to speak to only your disciple and you are forcing your way in. I'm showing you respect by speaking to you. Don't push it. Cackle, you must be anxious. The old man waved his hand, my good disciple, tell him. Yes. Mo Luo bowed respectfully, Tru Yang Emperor. Mo Luo bowed. Tru Yang looked at the respectful Mo Luo. He couldn't help but glance at Prison Emperor. Such a good disciple, he'll be a wreck under you. The golden-robed old man couldn't bear to smile. Speak. Tru Yang looked at Mo Luo. When did you see Luo Feng, Tru Yang Emperor? Mo Luo said respectfully. 1 year ago. 1 year ago? Tru Yang frowned. The notice the Virtual Universe Company gave was also about a year ago, that Luo Feng hadn't entered the Virtual Universe since. 1 year. With Tru Yang's long lifespan, 1 year was simply too short. However, in such an environment such as Demon Note Mountain, 1 year was indeed too long. I'm currently still in Demon Note Mountain. Mo Luo said respectfully, however, I haven't seen Luo Feng since. Tru Yang's frown grew deeper. Tru Yang, you may not know, your disciple actually tried to sabotage my disciple before in Demon Note Mountain. Prison Emperor said. Sabotage? Tru Yang stared hard at Mo Luo. My disciple Luo Feng tried to sabotage you. Mo Luo was somewhat nervous. Don't be afraid. Prison Emperor sat in the sofa, lifting a wine glass and casually waving his hand. Your teacher is here. That ape man cannot touch you. Say the entire story. Speak honestly. Tru Yang stared at Mo Luo. Mo Luo took a deep breath, speaking, Tru Yang Emperor Elder, it was like this. I was in Demon Note Mountain earlier than Luo Feng. In there I discovered the patterns to the demon notes, hence I stayed for long periods in a place close to where the beasts were. Even though I was close to the beasts, and the demon notes were constantly changing, it was a spot where I could easily predict. One day, I heard a beast howl and I knew someone had encountered a beast. Mo Luo took a deep breath. Obviously he was nervous. I had encountered this many times. This time I carefully sneaked over to observe. However, the person I saw was actually using a cloud contact vine. I immediately guessed that this person definitely wasn't an Aboriginal. A Universe Level 9 Aboriginal definitely wouldn't have a Domain Lord Level 9 assisting plant life form. Mo Luo said, hence, I helped. With the two of us combined, we defeated the beast and we fled from the scene. When he saw me, he immediately recognized me and he changed to his original form. It was actually Luo Feng, to meet our own people in Demon Note Mountain. I was very happy. I chatted with him for a while as we fled as the beast would regenerate and chase after us. However, I didn't expect. Mo Luo was shivering. Tru Yang frowned. While my guard was down, while we were fleeing together, he suddenly attacked me. At close distance, I couldn't defend in time. I was instantly heavily injured. And I fought hard to protect myself after. Mo Luo shook his head. Actually, in that instant I was attacked, I understood. He was probably thinking of me as an opponent in the qualification battles. Getting rid of me would mean he would have a greater chance of entering the primal region. Cackle, True Yang, you've heard it. The golden-robed old man laughed coldly. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.